Welcome to Worship Leader Wednesday Live.
What's up, everybody? Welcome.
So glad you are hanging out with us. Today we are talking about...
we get a do-over.
Mulligans.
Only you guys that are live got to see that, because then after this goes, post to the internet, after we're done, I'm going to edit it out.
Said. Yeah.
We actually have a upgraded audio setup. So let us know how it sounds. Nick is in production. He might have a camera on him at some point.
He didn't set up a camera for himself.
Oh, the Nick cam's not in here?
Well, Nick is behind the camera. Say hi, Nick.
Hello.
There he is.
Very nice today.
So
our producer, Nick.
Our producer, Nick, is behind. And now I want to say this. Our producer, Nick, it was not Nick's fault that we didn't have audio. It was my fault. Am I on this camera? Switch to me. Put it on me.
Yeah.
It was my fault. I apologize. I'm sorry.
You know what? I feel like it's my fault.
It wasn't your fault.
I can't let you take the blame for this.
But I do. But I am.
I've just been sitting here.
Okay, so last month we talked about...
Too many cooks in the kitchen ain't a good thing.
Last month we talked about things that worship leaders wished... No, sorry. Last month we talked about... Nick, edit that out in post.
We're going to redo this entire
Wait, this is live! Okay. I'm embarrassed. Last month we talked about things that volunteers wish their worship leader knew. Okay. You guys contributed a lot to that conversation.
There was a lot of things.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Today, we're going to talk about things that worship leaders wish their volunteers knew. And now...
Which apparently was complicated. Brad put a poll up. We had some issues.
Well, I wouldn't say issues. A lot of things I got were things that, at least in our opinion, we felt like, well, if these are things you wish your team knew, the reason they don't know them may possibly be because you haven't shared them. Like, I wish you would come prepared. Yeah. And in our opinion, the culture you tolerate is the culture you create, or the culture you create is born out of what you tolerate. So There are things, we've all been worship leaders and had to deal with things, and other people have given us things as well. But we've all had things that we really wish we could say, but it would be at the expense of maybe undermining leadership, for example.
Yes.
Or it would be, it wouldn't really make much, it wouldn't do us as worship leaders any good to say these things directly to our team. And it's like, we just kind of wish you knew this. So, but anyways, yes.
Yeah. Well, let's start off with the big ones, right? That we talk about every time we talk about this stuff.
I would actually like to know how many people we have watching that maybe are team members and maybe they're not in a leadership role.
Yes.
That'd be good, because we're the demographic. That's an interesting demographic. So I'd be curious.
Yeah.
Let us know if you're if you lead a team or something, or if you are, I don't want to say merely, but you are a team member. And
just write either Gru or Minion. Just whichever.
That's offensive.
If you're a worship leader, write Gru.
That's from Despicable Me.
I know, I'm just kidding. Alec Prong, thank you. Words are hard, Brian, he says. It's okay. They are sometimes.
Coffee hasn't kicked in yet.
Not yet. I'm only on cup number 2, and I have to cut it about 50, half and half with cream, personally.
Yeah,
so it's really just one cup.
So I'm out just about 1 cup. We were trying to determine, I don't think any camera angle can see the color of my coffee. Oh boy,
Nick is
Chris. On the case.
See, people are on board with the Gru Minion.
What color? What color is that? It sort of matches the top of this table. Beige. We decided that it was
creamy beige.
We decided that this is Docker's triple pleated khaki right here. That's what we decided we're gonna.
I'm creamy. That's creamy beige.
Oh yeah. Creamy beige. Okay,
we're about 6-1 Minions to Gru.
All right. So. Let's start with the big ones.
I'm currently a Gru, but served as a Minion for a long time.
Yes. Let's start with the big ones.
Yep.
Worship leaders wish. And we're not going to camp out on this because we've made a million videos about all these things.
Literally.
We have made things about
Worship leaders wish their volunteers showed up on time. Worship leaders wish their volunteers actually prepared the music before they show up to rehearsal or Sunday morning. If you don't have a rehearsal. Worship leaders wish that volunteers, would communicate when they can't serve or if they're going to be late. So, the big things, showing up on time, getting prepared. We talk about these things all the time. You've got to do that. Now, we talked last week about how, some sometimes the volunteer is frustrated because worship leaders don't get them the music until the day before. They change the key on them every time they, do a song.
I think we talked about that last month.
Yeah, that was last month.
Somebody actually said in that one of the points you said, I forget how you worded it now because my brain went to how I saw it worded. If you can't serve, worship leaders say that they would just use the decline button on PCO.
Yeah, it's there for a reason.
Instead of not telling me because you feel bad about saying no. I've worked with people like that, and I knew that they didn't want to hit decline, and there are personality types that do not prefer confrontation, and the decline button feels like too much confrontation, which I understand.
Especially in the reasons they put don't feel like it.
Yeah. I like how PCO makes up reasons for you though.
Yeah.
I love it. That's clever.
Yeah. I got a climbing Mount Everest.
I put the most random stuff if I have to decline, but just hit decline.
I put the reason why, I'm out of town.
Well, typically I've already told them.
Now, if my worship leader, Caitlin, if you're watching, she can attest. I'm not afraid to use the decline button. Yeah. Also, the blockout dates option.
Those are your friend.
Yeah. Two of the most underused features in Planning Center.
Fuller gets notifications at
you don't have to decline. You can just block out the date.
I'll block stuff out, and I don't ever serve at Fuller's.
I get your blockouts. But
Fuller's text me, thanks for blocking this out.
I know, on behalf of every decent human being, I want to honor you and thank you. And then I'm like, maybe I should schedule Brian that week.
Yeah. We're not working that week then, huh?
Yeah.
Vacation.
That's funny.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually don't have to use the decline button that often because I use the blockout feature.
Yeah. There you go.
It's good.
Okay.
So I think really the conversation is about understanding perspectives, right? The worship leader wants the worship member to understand their perspective, the reasons behind the things they do, and the same as vice versa. The worship member wants the worship leader to understand their perspective, whether it be what's going on in your life or all these things. So I think it's important. What we're really asking is we just want to understand each other better.
Yeah.
What are the best ways to understand each other better?
So in this video, we might do a little more, rather than just talk about all the things that worship leaders get frustrated about when it comes to volunteers who sort of don't pull their weight. I mean, that sounds harsh, but that's kind of what we talk about a lot. Rather than talk about that as much, I think we more want to talk about things that worship leaders deal with that you volunteers probably don't know because they don't feel comfortable talking about it, or if they do talk about it, they might be saying things about other people that they would rather not say, like other leadership. Fuller, before we go forward, I would like to say that I'm currently in a season in Madden. I'm playing with Baltimore.
I really thought this was going to be
Why
serious.
in the world are you playing with Baltimore?
I'm playing with Baltimore.
Lamar?
Yeah.
Man, he's good.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're talking about.
I want a quarterback that can throw
Baltimore?
that
Is
can
it
throw
PRS
5
in Maryland?
touchdowns in a game or run for 5
Then
touchdowns.
Lamar's your guy.
And so I played the Bengals last night. And my defense beat the Bengals 21-0.
That's funny. Because Sunday night at 8:20.
The actual score was 98-0. I need to up the difficulty.
So Sunday night at 8:20, the Bengals play the Ravens for real. Yeah, so it's going to be Lamar and Joe Burrow, two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Joe Burrow, I sacked him so many times, and he fumbled.
Well, that's pretty accurate.
He fumbled at 3.
This is flashbacks to recap meetings on Monday morning when I would listen to everybody talk about football for an hour.
The sport.
2 of those 3 fumbles I returned for
touchdowns, yes, because that happens in the NFL.
One of them was interception. So
you need to up your difficulty level.
My defense was 21
That's
in
funny.
Baltimore.
Can we talk Squattober?
That's
okay.
Yeah,
Bradford's in the middle of Squattober.
Can we talk
about
it?
Okay. I prepared a 9. My top 9 things.
This is an interesting perspective because you're technically the only amongst the 3 of us, the only
he's the only remaining
worship leader. You do lead worship fairly regularly.
I do as a volunteer.
As a volunteer, and kind of somebody else does all the planning and scheduling, right? Yeah. And I play guitar, stereo, no less. I just saw the camera right at me.
It's right on him. I see it right there. It's just a zoom.
I am a contract worship leader, and I pretty much run the whole thing just because it's just easier when you do it yourself. But no, it is. I think I'm the only person that's actually scheduling volunteers, recruiting, picking songs, and stuff like that.
Product placement.
Yeah. So my number 9, I have 9 things.
This is Fuller is
Top
all about,
9.
Fuller is a pastor. It is core.
You were
That's funny.
such a pastor.
That's funny.
I got
I just
9
like
points.
numbers.
And I'm wearing the number.
I got
on
9 points. Somebody
Right,
start
you
the
got-
pads.
Who even is this?
So-
Joe Burrow.
Joe, what?
Burrow. Bro, I know nothing.
Who is this greatest young quarterback of
Joe
our
Burrow is
generation?
getting fired after the performance he
Yeah.
put up against Baltimore last night.
Up your difficulty level, Brian.
Up in Brian's frog, finished
It's all
from
just
over garage.
sports ball. So, let's just start with 9.
Let's do it.
And then we'll just go.
Okay.
This is a thing that I've always thought, I think all of you guys can relate to this, is that I wish that the volunteers, the minions, the worship people understood that the team is not the worship leaders. This is not the worship leaders' worship team.
Yeah.
It is your team.
That is a great
everyone. It is not someone else's team. It's not your ministry. It's not. It's all of ours. So like, there's this level of ownership that I wish everyone understood from day one. Like, you're not just the drummer. This is your worship team.
Yeah. Actually, last night when I made the thumbnail for this video, and it says, "I wish my worship volunteers ... I didn't want to use that language because it's not, and it's because
my.
the word "my" suggests that the worship leader has ownership of the team, which is not true
Would we
at all.
say
Yeah.
that was like semantics, though, I guess?
I did it because it
Is that-
matched
yeah.
last.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's something people click on, and it communicates what we're talking about, but it doesn't communicate the truth about the worship team, and that's a good point.
Yeah. So a lot of times you're just sitting there waiting to be told what to do, or just wondering what's happening. It's like it's you can own some stuff, man. Like and know that the success of your worship team rises and falls on you. It's not the worship leader that makes it great. It's you. So if you're on a worship team and you're going, man, my worship team is lame, you might be part of the problem.
Be the change.
So that's what
you
I
want
just.
to see on
That's
the
what that's my number 9 thing.
All right,
Worship.
that's good. What's number 8?
Number 8 is, I wish that you really knew that attitude beats talent.
Ooh. And this means
Attitude beats talent.
To
Oh
hear-
my gosh! Come
to
on,
hear
think about it.
somebody of like your caliber and like with your high standards say that, it carries a lot of weight too.
Yeah.
Because the way
You almost think I don't believe it
well for
because
me,
I'm in.
Maybe.
for me.
I love
Well,
talent.
I
right?
think
Yeah.
the weight of what Bradford said, I don't know if people really understand the level of excellence that Brian Fuller operates at.
You're too
and
kind.
expects.
You're too kind.
Not only that, but expects
and
from
like
his team.
he has. But the part of it though is like it goes back, it actually falls in line with what he's saying. Like if your attitude, or I guess attitude could even just fall into like if your like whole demeanor as a team member. Like
Yes.
every aspect of you being a
Your
team member.
personality,
is-
the value
Yeah.
you bring
Yeah, like that beats talent, but
every day.
yeah, that's good.
And every worship team I've ever been on, the very first thing I ever did was I purged.
Yeah.
I got rid of people. I know
That's-
you're not supposed to do that at
We
churches.
got to make a video about how you do that.
And you know how many of those were because of talent?
The first 90 days,
Zero.
you're not supposed to change anything.
Yeah.
Can you say that
Yeah.
again?
Every team that I've ever purged never has been purged because of musical ability.
The criteria.
Ever.
Yes.
It's always been attitude. What do you call it? Entitlement. Like, you can't have a successful worship team if people are selfish. And it's just the reality. It's just ministry. And you might have on the facade something that sounds good or feels good, but you're not going to have that thing that everyone wants to always be at. The thing that people want to be there early and stay late, and they want to serve on Christmas and Easter because it's life-giving. And it's one person's attitude. You know what it's like? You got 8 people who are awesome and one person that's constantly complaining, and everyone in the room's like, if you never come back, I won't be offended.
How many of these people that you've purged have been really good musicians?
Lots.
Because in my experience, usually an attitude of entitlement or just somebody that is not much fun to be around, they're usually pretty good.
Yeah, they've they've come up in life, people telling them how awesome they are.
That's a big reason maybe why they have this attitude.
And I think people are hesitant to let them go because, man, you're like the best drummer. How can I let you go? But let me tell you, I'd rather have a team with no drums, man, than the guy who's an incredible drummer that just annoys everyone or is very selfish, because it's not fun anymore. Like, I can barely get up at 6 a.m. on a Sunday anymore. I don't need one more reason to stay in bed. And having a terrible attitude on my team just makes me want to, like, not snooze the alarm, just turn it off.
Yeah.
Just turn it off. So, and if you feel that way, probably everyone else feels that way. So that's a hard one, but
So somebody said this. I feel like maybe we should address this.
Okay.
Somebody said it must be nice to serve on a team that has enough people that you can literally
I laugh.
fire
I
volunteers.
spit in your general direction. I don't know who said that, but that's probably on my list somewhere. But when I got to where I'm at now, we didn't have near enough people. We still don't. But you know what? Let me tell a funny story.
Fuller's been on. I've read Trey, and I said that Fuller, you've led like in different size churches.
Yeah.
And so I know for one, like you got brought in to lead a church, like a multi-site church.
Yeah.
So like in that instance, you definitely did that.
I've started campuses from scratch. Yeah. I've led at 3,000 member churches, and I'm currently at a church of about 600 people.
Yeah. But even having only 5 volunteers and only 5, if you only had 5, and one of them is a sourpuss all the time. And
my gosh.
Like
get rid of them.
So
it's not worth it.
It doesn't matter how many you have. Like if it's still, because cancer can spread and it can ruin, and like it's going to make the rest of those 4 people who are bought in not want to be there.
Yeah. I have this story I wanted to tell today because I'm currently on a worship team, and one of my keyboard players, super committed, super faithful, but we've always only had like one keyboardist because we had 2 and then one took a break. So it's been very slim, and this person has been serving a lot. Well, this person needed a break. And this person came to me and said, hey, I need some time off. I said, take as much time as you need. Take 2 months. And they asked me, well, what are you going to do with keys? I'm like, nothing.
Don't worry about it.
We'll either won't have it or I'll play, or we'll figure it out. Guess what? In the last 3 weeks, this person's been out. I've had 2 families come to me. One came after church, husband and wife, worship leaders from another church that have been coming to our church. They want to get involved. He's a keyboardist. Oh. His daughter plays keys. And then I had another person last week contact me randomly saying, I play keys, I'd like to join the team. So while my keyboardist is gone, taking a vacation, this is not because our church is huge. This is because I made the choice to honor a person over a position. And it's like when you put people first, and it comes down to attitude. It's great to have an awesome keyboard player, but that's not the most important. It's way better to have people who have great attitudes and want to be there and understand the flow and the boundaries. So it's like our team is growing now, and it's not because we're a huge church. It's because God is providing for people, and that's God is gonna provide for you if you honor people and you honor Him above all else. And I've seen that happen at every place I've been. It's not like a pipe dream.
And I want to say too, God providing doesn't always mean that like you give your
10
keyboard
people.
you give your keyboard player 3 weeks off and then 3 people show up saying I know how to play keyboard.
It might mean that other people leave.
Yeah.
It might mean it's just you for a while.
It might look like that. It doesn't have to look like that. I saw somebody say, what are some tips for like recruiting in a small town? I grew up in a town of 3,000 people. It's less now than when I grew up there. It's shrinking, right?
Yeah, you
so
left.
I left. So now there's 2,900. Well, my brother left too.
2,998.
Yes.
So I understand that. Like, there aren't any people. Like, the people that come to your church are the people that come to your church.
Yeah.
And if they're going to play in the band, they've been coming for 20 years.
And if you have 12 people at your church, why do you need an 18-piece band? Like, have you ever been in that situation? It's weird. Like, your band's going to scale to the size of your church no matter what.
So who was it that said in the comments, the reason we all have Apple things in front of us is because we're trying to engage with you in the comments.
Also, this is a live video.
Yeah.
People comment after the fact, and they're like, why are they not getting to the... It's a live video.
Yeah, live videos are different. Trey says acoustic sets forever over a full band with people who have attitudes.
And that, dude, I'll do acapella sets.
That
over
might
bad
be
attitudes.
how God provides.
Yeah.
it might just be you for a while on acoustic or piano or something, and God might do something really amazing through that in your life, in the life of your church. Maybe God will teach people something through that. It's God providing doesn't always look like, oh, this person left and another person filled the role and everything is great and then now I have a warm fuzzy story to tell. It doesn't always look like that. Sometimes it does.
And I want to say something too for Chris's comment, because everyone thinks this way. There's no difference between recruiting at a megachurch and recruiting at a church of 5 people.
This is true.
Leadership is leadership. Processes are processes. So now you might have less people to choose from, but it doesn't change the process. The best way to recruit is to, one, have a environment that people want to be at, meaning attitude. It's fun. It's organized. It's professional. That is the number one thing that draws people to you. 2 is have it be really good.
Yeah.
No one wants to come serve on something that sounds terrible. Attitude first, and then talent.
Sounding like the record either.
No. It just
That's
means
relative.
it just means really do the best you can with what you have, and you will attract people that way.
Yep.
And then the rest is like going out and talking to people, meeting people. Every time I see somebody that has a Fender shirt or a Gibson shirt. Hey, you play guitar? How long you been playing? Your dad plays guitar? Tell me, it's like, where is it? It's like you just start these basic conversations. And then also from stage, just let people, everyone at your church should know you need musicians. If they don't, you're not talking enough about it.
That's true. Kayla says, I work with teenagers. Talk about sourpuss attitudes.
Well,
That's true.
There are some situations in life you just got to push through.
But you know what,
different.
Kayla?
Yeah, it is. It
is
is
different.
Here's the flip side of that,
It
Kayla.
is.
Talk about an opportunity you have to like really redirect the course of people's lives.
And teenagers will do just about anything if they feel like somebody cares about them.
Yeah.
Like I did that.
Yeah. I mean, I have a teenager.
Me too. That was
Kayla and I were talking about it. That's so wild. Your
My
kids are
son is
teenagers.
13. My daughter's 12. She's almost 13. And you just got to give them grace because, I mean, they're learning about life. They're going to have,
idiots.
they're kids.
Sorry, Fuller.
So they are. I mean, and so you just got to love them and you still have a high standard. But you need to treat a 33-year-old adult person differently than a 16-year-old teenager. And because at some point they have to become adults. So we're kind of mainly talking about adults here, but a lot of these philosophies kind of still the
Wells
same.
306 says, Fuller, I regret nothing. The end. That's what I think. That's what I love about these live streams. Every time we do a live stream, I feel like I learned something because I'm sitting next to Fuller.
Nice.
Okay,
thank you.
All right, Fuller, we move on.
Okay.
Your
Man,
list
I could
is-
keep talking about that one forever. But
That's a good one.
There's other
7 and 6 are 2 things I think all of us can relate to. This is what I want my worship team members to know. There is a formula for scheduling teams. There is a formula and a criteria. And number 6 is there is a formula for scheduling songs. So it's not just random. I mean, it shouldn't be. Like, I'm just not picking a dartboard. There are so many things to consider when I'm scheduling a team. What drummer? So the reason I say this is because, sometimes like, hey, make sure you schedule me when this guy's playing drums. Or make sure I want to lead a song. Or I'm like, back up, everybody. There's like 800 variables that go into picking songs, keys, grooves, who's the band. Oh, that person declined. Now I got to switch, and now I got to change a different song. So it's like, we're not just picking random songs.
Have we done a video on your system for team rotations?
Yes, multiple, and people are always like, I can't do it. I'm a small church.
Wait, is it free or is it in the worship manual?
I think we have there's a whole section in the worship manual, but there's a bunch of free videos we have on scheduling team rotations.
Yeah, so Fuller has, and I remember, we've talked about this before. Bradford and I experienced this together. We were at the Hope House, sitting on the white leather couch.
That was the no
Oh my
house.
goodness.
Nick, did you ever experience the Hope House?
Yeah, he did.
Bradford just called it the No Hope House. Is that?
Exactly that.
It was depressing.
It was.
That's right.
I
That's where you
edited
cut your teeth.
so much content at the Hope House, and it was like my body experienced every like
It's freezing. It's hot.
every extreme of climate.
Oh, yeah.
because the air conditioning-
The best thing that ever happened there was we got robbed. It's like, hey, this
yeah, I
is
remember
exciting.
that.
Okay, so a little
anyways,
context.
Okay.
We were all on staff at this
my
multi-site Normo megachurch, right?
Yes.
And
Where recruiting was easy and
yeah, right.
we had everything we needed.
It was not. And we had the church owned this property that was adjacent, like next to the.
I think they
main-
bought the land from the people who owned that house.
So there was this really old house in need
It
of
was small.
in need of much repair.
It was like 1,000 square feet, if that.
And it was called the Hope House.
That's what we called it.
And that is where our creative offices were. And
There was potential. I will say.
Oh, yeah.
You could have
It
turned
could
a
have been
house like that
great.
into something
Yeah, if
really
you
cool.
tore the whole thing down and rebuilt something nice.
And in 3 days later, I will rebuild it.
so Fuller and Bradford and I and
Remember
Nick,
the rat that died in the walls?
Nick too. Nick is behind the cameras. Nick was on staff at this mega church as well as Nick was the if you don't know, Nick was the student pastor at the campus I was at, and quickly his role morphed into you're the guitar player every week as well.
There you go. Congratulations.
You don't have enough to do on Sundays to prepare a message
I was so
for your
jealous.
kids and to do all that. So Sundays were like 14-hour days for
I
Nick.
believe they changed my contract to say you will play on Sundays.
They did not change his pay scale.
No.
And
So-
anything deemed necessary.
It's called
Oh,
forced volunteerism.
That was in
there.
there.
Yes, everything.
Voluntold.
Don't get me started. Don't
He
get me
was
started.
voluntold.
My blood's boiling.
Sorry, Fuller.
I'm getting.
Let's go back to the Hope.
Okay.
No, it's not
Yeah.
going to help your blood.
No, I'm so glad.
Transport yourself back to the Hope House.
That's right.
So this is where we had our creative meetings, and they had some really gross white leather. Was it white leather couches? I think they were light. They were probably the color of my coffee.
I think they came from
We'll
the,
call it Doctor's khaki.
they were like from the pastor's old couches from his house, and he was like, "Y'all can have it."
That's funny.
I'm
Seriously.
doing you a favor.
That's right.
Consider yourself lucky.
Oh man.
Early 2000s white leather couches were in.
Your
Yes.
gross hand-me-downs don't bless people as much.
Where
as maybe you
were
think.
we?
Much sweeter.
We're spiraling.
All right, so we were talking about
This
scheduling
is going to
teams.
go in a really
Scheduling,
bad
scheduling,
place,
yeah,
man. Okay, so Bradford and I, this is early in our tenure there as worship leaders, and
I mean, we're talking like a few months in.
Bradford and
I know
I,
exactly what you're
and
gonna
was there another campus worship leader? at the
You,
moment?
Brad. I think there was one other.
It was us three and Dustin.
Dustin.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Dustin. Hi, Dustin. If you're watching,
Hey, Dustin.
Him and I
Hi.
were just chatting this morning.
we miss
We're
you.
both doing Squattober.
Dustin.
Nice.
Dustin's a great guy. Dustin sort of onboarded Bradford and I. He was
Dustin loved administration too.
one of
so
the other. Yeah, he was a rare bird.
Yeah,
very artistic and very administrative.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we're sitting there, and Fuller goes, "Today, your life is going to change today." And he's like, "Before I begin, I want you to know when you tell me you can't do this, you're wrong. You can't."
That's how I started the conversation.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And he laid out. For
I don't
us-
remember that, but I fully believe it.
He laid out for us how we were going to do rotations at our campuses. And Bradford's campus was, I mean, we're talking a couple hundred people at our campus.
Yeah, and it was only a few months old.
Yeah, and it was like, and Fuller is basically like, you're going to have 4 people at every position. And you're going to have an A team, a B team, a C team, a D team. They're going to sign up. So they're going to know what Sundays they serve on for an entire year.
Yeah.
And then when they have to be gone for a week, they can communicate with other people in the roster to take their spot. And this
Come
all,
again, Clark?
Yeah, and Fuller and Bradford and I are looking at each other like, what planet does this guy think we're living on? Like, this is not possible. But you know what? We did it. We did it, and we didn't have 4 people deep at every position.
That's just the goal.
because that's not possible in some places,
And it's not even necessarily a great.
But
setup,
all that to say, these things sometimes what you hear people talk about, or people like us in these videos, and you might say, well, yeah, that works for you because you're at a Normo church XYZ with how many campuses and how many people. It's not easy.
Yeah. It's not.
Even in those environments, it's very difficult. It's just a lot of work.
Yep.
And it takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of talking about it with your volunteers and like getting them on board and having people help you recruit from within your teams. Anyway, all that to say, that was a meeting that I'll never forget.
There it is.
I'll never
I
forget
remember
it
that.
because Brian won't let me.
Every time I
bring it up.
And
a
what's
lot.
funny
Brian
is
does
every
bring it
time
up.
I present the team thing, it always gets the same response. That's impossible.
Yeah, well, you've talked about it
Yeah.
at conferences.
My wife originally showed it to me because they were doing it in student ministry, and I was like, that wouldn't work with worship. And then now I've become like the chief and
I've never heard
evangelist.
that part. I should.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Jackie.
Jackie Fuller's
Jackie.
brainchild.
Jackie. Yeah.
We could do a whole.
Bro, undercover
Live
worship
show.
leader. I would be all in for that. Actually, I do have experience in worship. I'm the worship leader at this church. Oh my God!
We've never seen you
before. And the nose. That would be funny.
All right,
Some
what
of
do we
those
got?
are insane.
Yeah. So, number 5. You are the best recruiter
Oh.
We talk because this is
Speaking
the
of
thing. It's
recruiting.
like, you can either make excuses or you can make progress. You can talk about how it's impossible to do all this stuff, or you can go start building your team. And so, but as a worship team member, like if you're going there, man, we could really use another guitarist. Don't wait for the worship leader to get a guitarist. Go get one for him. If this is your team, it goes back to the first thing. This is our team. This is your team. This is not my team.
Especially if they're a friend of yours.
Yeah, it's like I hate it when I'm like, doing worship and like, maybe we're down a person and you're talking to the vocalist and I'm like, yeah, my cousin's a really great singer.
Well,
Where do they live? Chicago? Oh no, they live in Raleigh. What the? So it's like, oh yeah, you think I should talk to them? I'm like, what's going on here?
Yes.
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
Wish you would. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish you wouldn't. I dare you.
Well, now, yeah, that's a good one. All right.
Number 4 is my favorite. I can tell when you're not prepared.
Well, I have a story to tell about this.
Go for it.
So,
does that have to do with Fuller?
yeah, we would do these large events, right, at the church that we formerly worked at. And sometimes at these events, we had multiple campuses. And eventually we had 5 campuses, physical campuses in the area. And every campus had a staff worship leader. And they were all, I know where I was the least talented of the bunch. I'll say that. I was as far as a musician, I was the least talented of the bunch. Because you got people like Bradford, we had Bryce, we had Fuller. We had different people at different times because we had a lot of people come in and out.
There was a lot of talent.
Lots of talent. And so we would every once in a while put all these people together in a band. And most of them could play multiple instruments too. With a funny,
which you think would be a great
you would
scenario.
think would be amazing, but it almost never was. Well, sometimes it was. But so we're doing this for a Christmas thing.
I got a story about.
And it's a whole lot of songs, and they're Christmas songs, so they're not normal worship songs. And so I'm playing acoustic guitar. My role is easy. I'm scheduled because like I said, I'm the lowest rung on the talent, ladder here. So I get scheduled on acoustic guitar playing rhythm. Did I just out what acoustic guitar scheduling?
No.
No.
Definitely not.
So I get scheduled on acoustic
I love
guitar.
playing acoustic.
I do too.
I can carry the songs.
Yeah. Plus, if you're singing, it's way better, in my opinion, easier. So I'm playing acoustic, and I'm supposed to the idea is you show up at this point, all the music stands had been melted down, and Fuller
Paperweights.
They existed, but nobody knew where they were.
They were in a secret closet.
Yes, that you then brought out for
the orchestra?
which
My
therein
actual
lies
music.
the point.
Yeah,
Exactly.
The orchestra showed up. We're like, where are all these music stands been?
Ta-da!
They do exist. I know where they were. They were up in the storage on the top left. Okay. So anyway, no, we can't have. But I don't have everything memorized. So I've got music all over the floor because the music is hard and there's a million songs.
E flat minor 7.
We're playing exactly. We play a 7 flat something 5 minor augmented chord, and I missed it. One chord. In the song.
A passing chord, probably.
And Fuller comes over and walks over to this is so Fuller. He walks and he wouldn't. I don't know, maybe you did this to volunteers, but you walked over to me and I looked at you and you looked at me and was like, "Is this too much music for you, Brian?" And then you walked away. That's it. That's all you said. Just too much music for you, Brian.
That's all I had to say.
Right? And I was just like, my whole countenance. That's a good word.
Yeah.
Just I was like, man. I was not prepared, and I missed one chord, and now my worship leader heard it. And
Every now and then I'll look at people as they make wrong notes. I just like to remind them that I know what I heard
got
that.
a lot of those.
I'm
I
like,
hear everything.
I'll smile, be like, wow,
But
excellent choice. It's not even in the key signature.
That's jazz.
Wow.
Excellent choice.
You want to play the 5 with everyone else, or are you good over there? Okay, cool.
Oh
I
man.
play a lot of jazz myself.
Yeah, jazz, very jazzy. Very
Oh, Nick Kim!
Woo!
I need a
Hey,
button.
there he is.
Oh, we got him. Sweet.
How much are we peaking that audio?
Dude, Brad just talked louder than I ever had.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah. So to your point, we know when you mess up, Fuller especially.
Do with that information what you will.
Yeah.
We know when you mess up, but grace can abide. It can.
Oh, it better.
Yeah.
It can. But if it's a
Oh,
reoccurring
so
thing.
This is definitely professional
What's your
development.
Fuller story, Bradford? You said you had one as well.
You have multiple ones, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, the one instance I think actually Fuller has been a huge instrument. pun intended.
Look at
And
that.
me
Music.
becoming better just as music worship leader, and dare I say, in my administration. But we had this thing. We had like this big conference we did, and it was the first one we ever did. And I was not married, part-time, and living. The guys I was living with were also on staff, and one of them was one of our new worship leaders. And some of these songs were ones that I hadn't even played before because I was trying to scale back at my campus and like let's just play the simple songs. But we had a couple like
which is a good idea.
Songs. We had a couple of gospel songs that like I had heard but never played, and me and my roommate spent like a long time playing just to the click together, and like I was like really just playing chords. Like lead guitar was like unless there is a lead part like on a turn, I was just playing chords, rhythm, and like afterwards I was so hype about running my full pedal board into my Blues Junior with a 50-foot 1/4-inch cable way backstage turned down because it still wasn't in the...
Still too loud.
Yeah, still too loud. Yeah. And I was like so hype, and me and my roommate were on electric, and we were like, man, that was so fun. It sounded so good. And Fuller goes, yeah, well, y'all probably could have practiced more. It really didn't sound that great. And I was like, what?
I love it. Y'all probably could have practiced more.
And I was like, that's all I've done. That's all I've done the last week.
I guess we just have different standards here.
Yes, but
that much is true.
But now you know what I'm talking about.
But I look back and I was like, I wasn't really playing guitar. We were both playing chords. Like there are totally going to be songs where two electric should be playing chords.
Yeah.
But I was like, what am I doing wrong then? Because I played the exact chords, but there was no dynamics. I didn't actually try to play. You can play great guitar parts with like one note at a time.
Yeah.
Or two notes at a time. And we have some videos about like how I kind of approach guitar. But a lot of that came out of the fact that like Fuller only does that to people he knows he could do that to.
That I can get more out of you.
He would have had a better conversation, like a more thought-through conversation with a different person. But with me, he knew that, like Dwight Schrute. One thing about me, I respond very well to strong leadership.
Yes. Get in here now.
I always critique people based on their potential. So like, if I feel like you gave it your all, I'm like, great job.
Yeah.
But if I feel like you got more, I'm like, come on, man.
Okay, so your point, number 4. I can tell when you're not prepared.
Yes.
What can people do with that? So what's the
well, it just means like
prepare.
You need to know that like people notice when you're not bringing your everything.
They often don't say anything.
And it might not just be the worship leader, but other people too. And you feel what happens is we get in these plateaus where we slack off, and then we coast, and then suddenly we look and everyone around us has surpassed us. We used to be the best person on the team, and now we're like barely hanging on. Mm-hmm. What happened? Well, what happened was you got lazy, or you overcommitted sometimes. Maybe you don't have time to give it your all. In which case, I would say,
take a break.
Which is number up the list. But you need to bring your A game. People notice. People notice.
All right, let's move on. Number 3.
A compliment from Fuller is actually an insult. Number 3.
That's on the person.
I wish that you knew that you can do more. Like you're allowed to do more. You have the authority to do more. Yeah. Like you can lead. You can take. You don't have to just be a guitar player, but there's other things you can do. I mean, you want to make charts. You want to do. I mean, so it's like don't be afraid to take more on.
Yeah.
Don't just sit around and wait for me or whoever's leading the team to do it because everyone's barely hanging on.
Your worship leader would love for you to... worship leaders are often very overworked. I think church staff in general...
100,
especially if they're young people. Well, not just young. I mean, older people too, but like it's a younger... people...
Witness.
Churches are really good at just like throwing responsibility on staff.
Yeah.
And if they never say no, it just keeps piling on.
And
sometimes if they do say no, then there are repercussions for that.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's something church worship leaders want you to understand is like I don't know how to say this diplomatically.
You don't have to.
Maybe
live stream.
leadership.
We're all
Maybe
family.
leadership isn't treating them very well.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that's part of
I don't
what's-
think. No, that's a fair way to say it.
That's extremely common, unfortunately.
If you
Yeah.
if you give
But-
even a hint or a whiff of something you are interested in,
my gosh, don't ever do
capable
it.
of, own equipment for,
Keep
have
your mouth
dabbled in
shut.
at one point, it's like worship leaders don't say a word, or
Yeah.
you're going to automatically become
So
the
it's
youth
like-
pastor as well.
Oh, I'll run that. I'll
Your
organize
worship
that.
leader or the
Some
youth
people like
pastor
it,
or
but-
whatever, my student pastor, it's like they might be working part-time or not getting paid at all, like this is a volunteer role, and they're doing worship, they're doing production, they're doing student ministry stuff, they're being asked to do all kinds of. Nick is in the back waving his hands because he's lived that life. There he is.
I was a janitor. I did everything. I was a custodial engineer.
That's right. So all that to say is if you as a volunteer were able to take some of the responsibility that they have and help them with it, man, it would bless them. And they probably don't they would love to ask people to do it, but they don't know who to ask, or they don't know how to approach that, or maybe they don't feel like they should ask that kind of ask somebody to help with scheduling, or ask somebody to help with admin, or putting charts together, or coming up with what keys to sing the songs in more than one day in advance, that kind of stuff.
That's exactly it.
So you can do more. That's a good
You
one.
can do more. So that's number 3. Number 2 is you can do less.
Yes, you can.
So there's always two sides of the coin, right? So there are some people, and bless your hearts, you're just serving too much. You are just burning the candle at both ends. And I want, and I talk about this all the time with my worship team members, because I want them to be healthy. I want them to really enjoy being on their team. If you ever feel like you need time off, just let me know. I'll give it to you this weekend. You can cancel on me this weekend. I do not. If you need to not play this weekend and it's Thursday, yeah, it puts a little bind, but guess what? We have enough people. We'll make it happen. You have to know that you can do less. How many times have people, hey, I need a week off, and my worship leader won't give me a week off, and I'm like, I'm sorry, does he sign your checks? Like they take on this.
Tells me that all the time.
Do they take on this
even
employee
then.
mentality? And
You're not an employee, Brian.
it goes back to attitude. I mean, the attitude decreases when the burnout increases.
Yes.
That is across the board. So as people are getting burned out more and more, the overall attitude of the team drops tremendously.
Demeanor.
Snappiness, bitterness, shortness. Oh, I can't believe we're
morale,
doing the song again. Or and it's just like there's like a temperature gauge there, and you got to know that it's okay to take time off. If I spot a person that needs time off, I will make them take time off, because I've never given people time off and they haven't come back and said that was awesome. I needed that. I just didn't know it.
And they come back way more.
Oh, ready to rock.
Way more like
You always want to leave people
engaged.
wanting more, whether that's
Yes.
I learned that when it comes to like if you're put an opening act and you've been given 30 minutes to play,
He's
it's
22.
like do 22, do 25.
They're like, what? It's done already?
Leave
Man,
people,
they were grooving.
Yeah, it makes people. You don't want people to get tired of you, but
Yes.
leave people wanting more.
That's right.
Because I find I'll be learning songs and I play on Sunday and I pack all my stuff up and I go home and I'm like, man, I'm really glad I don't have to do this next week. And that's a heart thing. I mean, I would do it if it was necessary. Hear my heart. If I can use the verbiage. But all that to say, to be human, hopefully too. The next week that I go to church and I'm not playing,
my goodness.
I'm like, man, I get to play next week. I'm hype.
Danny just talked about that. Danny Choi said took a week off for the first time in a year, and it was amazing.
Oh, my.
Yeah. What's up, Danny?
Wow.
Good to see you, man.
And with Bradford said leave people wanting more. And on that note,
leave them wanting more.
we'll give you number 1 next
Number 1. Tune in next the
Gotta
first
subscribe
Wednesday.
to
Tune
the
in
next
next
live.
time.
No, we're not going to do that.
Join our.
We got about 10, 15
Join our
minutes
Patreon.
left.
We don't have a Patreon.
We don't have Patreon. We have product.
Yeah.
By the way, this live stream is sponsored by Worship Tutorials, pads, and premium guitar patches.
That's right.
Go buy them.
I wish I could push
Moods, bumpers.
Hey, actually,
ambiance.
we are. We could set that
roll
up.
a jingle of some
We
sort.
could set that up.
Yeah, we can.
What?
You could be like
I need sound effects.
yes.
Ooh, la, la.
They're over
Yeah.
here. They're on the.
There are a few.
Ecamm has a bunch.
We are.
Yeah,
this-
you can. That one.
at least that one.
Yeah.
We are drinking a coffee company that we recently found,
Oh,
which
yeah.
may be worth just checking out that we enjoy. Christian's Kitchen? Or
Christian Kitchen.
Christian Kitchen.
I should have tried
Okay.
a cup of that.
There's still more downstairs. It is delicious.
It is very good.
by the way.
I don't like
I'm gonna
black
try something
coffee
on the way
hot, but I love this brand.
There's probably
Ting!
there might be more sponsorship. than
Perfect
that.
opportunity for our sound
Christian's
effect.
coffee, the coffee that sounds like. I don't know. I've got nothing.
Okay.
All right.
The coffee that sounds.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, I was confused.
Yeah. Me too. All right, number one. What do you got?
Number one, man. Love wins. Every
like the title of a
every situation that arises, it kind of goes back to the attitude thing, kind of circle back around. But like every situation you have, every conflict you have, can be resolved if you are truly a loving person and you care about the people that you're serving with. You care about the congregation. So you're not selfish. You don't pick stupid songs because you want to play an awesome song. You pick it because you want them to be able to participate. You practice. You come prepared because you care about the other people. And you know that Brad he had 3 extra hours this week to squeeze in, and he still practiced. I care enough about him. I'm not coming not prepared. That's disrespectful to him. I had all week and I didn't practice, and so it's like, it all comes down to just, like Jesus said, it's like the greatest of these is love. I think there's so much love lacking in the church in general. The whole Western religion lacks love. Plenty of judgment, plenty of scholars.
It's in the name of
manipulation?
Yeah.
Well, they try to use it in the name of Jesus.
Yeah, it's control.
Which is actually
it's control.
using Jesus' name in vain.
Yeah, it really is.
What that is.
If you love someone and you love what you do and you love God, you will have an awesome worship team. And that's what it comes down to, a lack of selfishness and just a genuine care that what you're a part of is going to benefit other people. And, a lot of times as musicians, we're very self-centered. I mean, we all do. I get like that too. I just want to make music. It's fun. I want to get cool gear and I want to check me out and I want to perform. And it's like we lose track. It's not about us, and it's hard. It's hard because we grow up performing music and because we want to entertain and we want to perform or whatever, but then in this worship setting it's the exact opposite. It's how can I contribute? What do you need from me? What can I do for you? And I think this is a big one, man, and I just feel like this is a lacking overall. Just I've noticed, this last couple years, just there's a lack of love. I'm disgusted with the way a lot of my Christian friends and people that I know have talked and responded and reacted over the last couple years. I'm like, it's just a reflection of how bad we need Jesus.
Our culture and society certainly sees it.
It's not easy. It's not hard to miss.
Judgment on us and our Savior, on Jesus Christ, based on how we act. Yeah. Anyway, that's going in a different direction. But
I follow musicians or just any various people who I find make good content on social media that are not Christians, and I see them post about pastors or churches that have done something, and I'm like, that they should not have done that. Yeah. Like they and maybe things are misconstrued, but either way, it's about perception because people's perception is reality, and that means everybody the way we perceive things, we should give the benefit of the doubt, but we should also be thinking about how somebody might perceive something because that could in fact become their reality, and so
Hey, and speaking of,
a little different, but
there was a comment. Who made it? Where did it go? Oh, Skylar. Brandon Vineyard Community Church has entered the chat.
Oh, my God. Are they in the chat?
Oh, that's funny. That's an inside thing.
That is so funny.
We'll just leave it at that.
Enters the chat. That's hilarious.
Let's move on.
That's good stuff.
We're all laughing. Do you follow... I posted it on Facebook. Follow me on social media. You will have seen that for this past few weeks. But okay.
Anyways,
I grabbed my phone because the three of us were kind of just chatting last night via text about what are some things. And here's the thing that I thought I texted at the end. I want to make sure I get this right. Skylar, no, I did not. Did I ever get an apology for that? The answer is no.
They were hacked. It was
I was a little disappointed.
It's a weird reason to hack an account.
Maybe they didn't know that happened, or that I became posted about it. Anyway, you are never. This is what I said. You're never ever. Well, that's not true. You're most 99.9% of us in our churches are never going to look and sound like Elevation Church or insert whatever humongous mega church
Peak City Church.
that Peak City Church that puts out awesome content on YouTube, and then you watch it and say, my goodness, let's sound like that. You're never going to sound like that. All right? Most churches in the world, in the United States as well, like almost all, don't have the personnel to do that, don't have the talent, don't have the budget. That's a big one. Don't have the money.
You can have all of that if you have the money.
Even then, though.
So you're not going to look like that. And I believe that, and I love the music that they put out, and I think it's awesome.
Especially the Brandon Lake stuff.
And yeah, Brandon Lake is awesome. I'd love to do an interview with Brandon Lake or something on the channel. That'd be cool. Like the songs that they write are great. We sing them in our church all the time.
There's some good ones.
And like I believe that we should create worship to the best of with the most excellence we possibly can, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
But when we, who don't have that level of budget, talent, don't have the space, all the things that are necessary to go into that, we don't have it, and we compare ourselves to it, it can be pretty toxic.
Yeah.
We can start to feel pretty bad about ourselves. Like, you look at that live stream, and then you go look at your church's live stream and listen to you sing or play and hear how pitchy it is, or hear the quality of the sound. There was a question up here about, it made me think of you, Nick, because they were saying, anybody in here mix the sound for their church? And
I have before.
And Nick is like, Fuller's done it a lot, and Nick is like getting into it, and he's getting really
Nice.
good at it. And
I challenge you to a mixing duel.
But like,
I'd love to.
good luck. Good luck to you. I'll lose. Fuller is like a pro. I mean,
He is a pro.
it's hard to compete with that. But like, it's not gonna sound like that. And if you compare yourself to it, boy, that is a recipe for.
It's the thief of joy.
It's a recipe for pain and disappointment. And so I think it's important for us to celebrate celebrate the wins, is what we always talk about. You know, we used to say that a lot. To celebrate the things, the improvements that you've made, or to celebrate, like, I set out, this was a goal for me to, I don't know, improve my vocal, or improve, my level of skill here. Or maybe one thing that I have said to myself lately, which is funny because this is something that I feel like I used to be better at, is like, if I'm going to speak between a song or after a song, I never want to come off the stage having said something and think, I didn't really say anything.
Yeah.
And how many times have you said something before or after a song, or you've prayed, and you didn't really say anything, right? You just repeated something that was in the song. You just said something that you said the last time that you said. Like, I never want to say anything. Like, I'd rather say nothing than not say something of substance.
Yeah.
And so, like, if I look at the live stream and I think, what I said, there was something there. There was substance there.
Yeah.
I thought about it. I prayed about it beforehand. Spent time with God thinking through, what can I say that might inspire the congregation to engage in worship? And I did it. Well, that's a win, and that should be celebrated.
Yeah.
And it probably doesn't look and sound like what Brandon Lake says before he leads graves into gardens or something.
Yeah. Be the best version of yourself.
But I'm not Brandon Lake.
Man,
so
he can sing though.
Dude, he can.
Yeah.
I love it when we pitch him down with everything, because I can't sing in his key. And then he's like telling the congregation, he's like, with everything, but it sounds like a professional wrestler. When you macho man have it, whoa!
That's exactly it.
Just because it's what he said, but like,
Just 5 steps down or something.
oh gosh, boy, I'd be like, oh, I'm singing.
Yes,
Don't yell at me.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, you're not gonna look and sound like Elevation Church, and that is okay.
Yeah.
You need to be the best.
There's already an Elevation Church.
You need to be the best version of your church that you possibly can, and constantly try and improve that bar. And you're not gonna. Maybe you don't have the budget for that stuff, and you might never have the budget, and that's okay.
You're always your own. I believe this is my philosophy in life. I am my biggest competition. No one else is my biggest competition. It is always. You got that, Brad? Yeah. It is always
moderation.
Yeah, it is always you. You are your biggest competition. So you need to compare yourself to you 6 months ago, and you got to keep moving forward in that, and then you kind of develop your own thing.
So we've morphed the conversation a little bit.
Yeah.
But still good stuff. The only thing I wanted to say, which I kind of said at the beginning, but I guess we did talk about this. My brain is kind of fried. I've kind of just been listening and kind of adding
You have been
little
kind of
things
quiet
here and
Radford.
there. Yes,
Squattober is really taking a toll on.
I will say today was really rough.
Yeah.
But no, I just find that ultimately giving your worship leader the benefit of the doubt. There's only so many times you should, as worship leaders, you should expect to be given the benefit of the doubt. If you're constantly like doing something that leads people to believe that maybe you're not actually trying to do your job, then like that's a different story.
Yeah.
But like, if everybody, it actually is in line with what you're saying with, love wins. Like if you're always trying to do your best, volunteers should know that if something is out of character for your worship leader, it's probably because it's like a rare scenario and not much of an explanation. Like if there is not a specific reason given, there's a chance that you're like, hey, you know what? We actually like did this event on Friday night and we did a salvation call and a lot of people ended up coming to Christ, and so they want to get baptized today, so we're gonna drop a song and add this one or whatever. Like that is a specific reason, and that's awesome, and everybody should be on board with, yes, let's do something to kind of like add baptism in the service. That's very cool. But like if a worship leader kind of says, hey, we felt the need to change the song, so we're gonna do that, probably a reason you didn't get much more explanation for that.
Yeah.
And giving people your worship leader the benefit of the doubt. That's there's only so many times you can do that, right? Like, it could border on abuse if like you feel like they're constantly like, you shouldn't have to deal with that. But yeah, I think that's one thing, because I've learned that it's been interesting to sit in a different role for the last like year and a half almost. I've just been playing guitar. I've led a handful of times, but still I've been doing more just guitar stuff, and I sit and I listen. I'm like, it's interesting to hear leaders lead in a way, and you're like, you can dissect it, and you're like, I know what's happening here.
I know.
Or you're like, you just understand. You understand where they're coming from, and or like some
behind the curtain.
I see what's going on here, Mr. Penguin.
But even though we have talked about it, I think that is one thing that I remember specifically wishing that my team members knew when I was leading. Like there are times where like I really don't want to have to be sending this email, sending this text or whatever. And it's like, this is not always. And it's like there's only so many different ways I can spin something to make it sound like I'm not undermining. And like I don't want to do that. And so that's a big one for me. Like just like read between the lines. Listen to what I'm not saying.
I think that that's true. Like in a lot of it's not just churches. It's like as like if you work in a company, as you sort of move up the ladder of management,
the weight gets heavier.
Like you start to realize there are a lot of things my boss did that made me mad. That now I know why they did. And it was not their fault. It wasn't them. Right?
Yeah.
So it almost sounds like if you're really reading between the lines here, it's like, senior. Basically, you've got senior pastors who are
control freaks.
Right, but like it's not always that. But a lot of times it's like, to Bradford's point, it's like worship leaders are dealing with a lot of stuff that you don't know about, and they're not going to let you in on that. But I think it works. It's like that all across the board.
Yeah.
Like. In different,
different
industries.
I feel also like you can almost bank on the fact like how the worship ministry is run, the organization, the preparation, the amount of time you have the songs, all that stuff. 9 times out of 10 is really a direct reflection of how much the pastor's involved in a negative way. Because I'm so thankful to be at a church that my pastor just lets me lead the worship team. He never interferes. He doesn't. I mean, I've been at the church I'm at 3 years, and I've never once been asked to do a specific song.
Has it been 3 years?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Whew. Yeah, I've never been once asked to do a certain song or to change a song, and it's like because of that, our ministry, I'm able to like really get ahead of the game. I mean, my songs are up for the rest of October. I'm like literally working on Christmas arrangements right now.
I hope so.
So it's like, it's all of this stuff. It's all of this stuff. And so, definitely if you're in a situation where your leader seems really organized and on the ball, but there's a lot of other things that kind of are stressors, you can almost bank on the fact that there's other stuff going on that's out of their control.
And they're not going to tell you about it.
Yeah, and then they're not going to tell you. And they shouldn't. Yeah, and so, but that doesn't mean that you can't, ask questions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But hey, if you're part of an organized ministry that gives you a lot of time to prepare, hug a worship leader today.
Yeah.
Get them a gift card. And say thank you.
and to pick up on what Fuller said earlier, if you're not planning Christmas stuff already, you're too late.
Yeah.
Props to Caitlin at my church. They started the Christmas choir.
Nice.
Started Christmas choir rehersals this past Sunday.
Oh, little town of
I'm not in that Christmas choir because I'm going to be gone a lot over the next, few months when all of the rehearsals are. I'm going to be on for Christmas, I'm sure. Unless I go out of town, which I got to figure that out quick. But you know what? I'm not employed at a church. So I have the freedom to actually visit, my parents for Christmas.
That's cool.
How many worship leaders? We're at the end, but it's when you're on staff at a church, it's if you want to go see family for Christmas, forget about it. You're gonna have to do it
it is
unless they're
you're gonna have to do it December.
Close.
Yeah, you're if you live away from your my family lives in Oklahoma, I live in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
When I was on staff at a church, if I wanted to go home for Christmas better be scheduled December 29.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, I ain't gonna be there.
Especially if you're within a few days of a Sunday.
That was
and you
a
still have to do
decade.
Sunday.
It was a decade where I didn't travel for holidays. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's terrible. How do you lead people when everyone has strong opinions?
Well, we talked about that talking about attitude.
I got an opinion about it.
What are you going to say, Nick? How do you do it?
I just have strong opinions about everything, so I don't know.
I think the best advice I would give is just to have a stronger opinion. It's good. You want people on your team who have strong opinions because those are the people that are usually conquering stuff and taking you to the next level because they're leaders, You just have to have a louder voice than them and you have to learn how to talk to them. Everyone's different, Mm-hmm. Some people need to be talked to very matter-of-factly. Some need to be come around the side kind of. So I think you just need to learn each person and deal with them. And that's different. Having a strong opinion is different than being a diva. If you're a diva, dude, this conversation's over. I'm done.
Hey, man.
I will
we need an amen.
We do.
Hey, man. I'll record it. We just put, hey, man. Just put it in there.
Look at God.
Look
at God. We'll just do a bunch of let's do a bunch of bumpers, pre-record a bunch of bumpers.
With everything you've got.
It'll be just like a morning talk show.
Yeah.
Nick, you got talent. You can add another thing to your plate while you're over there switching cameras.
Sure.
No additional pay.
You're capable.
Might I add?
I just looked it up because I figured it was John Maxwell, but Maxwell says everything rises and falls on leadership. That's a great point, but I would argue that especially in ministry, everything rises and falls on relationships.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yes. I will say this every single time somebody asks a question. I will say, because somebody actually asked something earlier and they were like, "How do I deal with?" And my first thing is always, well, do you have a relationship with that person?
Yeah.
And the other thing is there's no magic formula. I guess this is considered the magic formula. You have to have a conversation. Hard conversations are how things happen. You can't there's nothing else you can do to try to fix a situation of any kind without actually just having the hard conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be confrontational. You have to, ask questions, make sure you're understanding right, or there's always, there's rarely the issue that people are bubbling up about. Rarely that's the issue, and rarely that is the thing that set them off. There's always more behind it, and so anytime, anything, I don't think there's about anything people could bring up to ask, whether it's a volunteer having to deal with a worship leader trying to figure out how to deal with volunteers, worship leaders trying to figure out how to deal with their pastor. I don't think there's any situation that does not start with, you're going to have a hard conversation. Yeah. And the best way to do it is for you that needs to initiate the conversation to come to it with a humble heart, humble attitude, and saying, hey, look, I heard you say this. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure I understand exactly what is going on, what's happening here. This is, and you got to word this part carefully, but you're to me, that this is what this means, and I just want you to try to help me understand, am I right? Am I way off base? But that conversation may be hard to have if you don't have a relationship with them. If they're just some person you schedule once a month because they say they'll do it, and you only talk to them when they show up at rehearsrsal. Hey, so and so, how are you? Glad you're here, and that's it. And then you see them on Sunday, and they're like, hey, thanks for being here, appreciate you, and like that's it. You know, it's hard to actually like pour into every single individual's. You can't do that.
You can't.
Like depends. If you have a massive team, that's when you pull. Like even Jesus had his 3.
Yeah.
Right. So get your 3 and ask them to help if you need help with that. But it's all going to come down to that. But John Maxwell, absolutely right. It all comes down to leadership, and I think relationships are absolutely part of relationships are part of leadership. Because otherwise, all you're doing is managing people, and you're the boss. You're not a leader. I think a leader is different.
Yeah. And some people don't want the relationship, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
Like you have some people that
But
like
you gotta
are
talk
like
to
me.
them to know
Like
that.
if I was serving on your worship team, I just want to show up, do the thing, and then leave. Like I don't need anything else on my plate because I got a billion. But like that's life-giving to me to just contribute to the team. So you might have people on your team that like you don't have much of a relationship with because they don't really have space for another and that's okay.
Yeah.
They show up, they do their job, they kill it, you know, they're on board, they have great attitudes. Man, that's awesome. And then you'll have some people that are like, you know, you're like you said, like they're in the inner circle. So you know, I feel like you can't treat everyone the same. Yeah. There's no inner circle.
That's another office reference.
Lead in groups.
Yeah.
That's what I do. If you got something important to say, just do a Zoom and say it to everyone at the same time.
Hey,
But
There you
doing
go.
circles.
Yeah.
because they're
Life
better
is
than
better
rows,
and
which
rhombuses.
is what we're doing right now. Somebody brought this up. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Which he said, I think that's another good Maxwell one, and it probably is Maxwell.
Yeah, it sounds like.
But it's interesting because like Maxwell says, leadership. It all rises and falls on leadership. But regardless of whether he said that or not, he probably did. Like people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So.
Maybe Rick Warren said that.
Ooh, that sounds like it. Yeah, could be. Gentlemen, Fuller, are you going to join us for lunch today?
Where are you going?
I don't know.
Your treat?
Somewhere.
Yeah, let's
So
My
depends
treat.
on where
your
we're
treat.
going.
Let's do it. You invited. You offered.
What's happening?
Riz
here?
Chris? Yeah, man. Thanks,
Yes,
man.
I'll come,
You
but
heard it here
because you
first.
asked, you're paying.
You heard it here first. Yeah.
So I guess I'm buying Fuller lunch.
Sweet. Ruth Chris? That's so generous,
Okay,
Brian.
look,
Yeah.
even if he didn't buy, if we were going to Ruth's Chris, I think I kind of would be down.
You guys wanna
I
go?
would smash a steak.
Unfortunately, I ate a bunch. I definitely want to go with you guys, hang out, but I just ate like 9 pulled pork tacos that I made last
Bro,
night.
you got here at 10:30.
Bro, I was so
What
hungry.
time did you
I
eat
woke
pulled
up
pork tacos?
I woke up at 6 o'clock, Brad. 10 o'clock
did
is
I.
lunch for me.
10 o'clock.
Fuller always is an early luncher.
Dude,
which I appreciated.
Dude, Harris Teeter had these pork butts for $12 for a 3.5 pound pork
If you don't
butt.
know this, Fuller is a classically trained chef. Like,
You
legitimate.
You wouldn't know it 'cause-
French, in the French.
Sometimes Fuller, you're like, why are you eating that?
He's like, I made it.
Yeah, I'm eating a Big Mac. But I did the pulled pork. I put it in last night at like 6 p.m. And this morning, it just shredded
Okay, if
off
you
the
cooked
bone.
it overnight,
It literally.
I would say
And
I
so
would
I
have a
had
hard
these
time.
street tacos, the corn
I would have a hard
tortillas.
time with
Bro, I put the pork, little salt, onions, and lime, and I just housed like 10 of them before I came here.
There's a question. When is the next Worship Leader Wednesday live?
The first Wednesday of every month.
So it's
That's
the
the
first. It's the first Wednesday of every month. Fuller, we didn't tell you about this, but Bradford and I
What happened?
threw around the idea the other day of doing a combination. You know how? So Worship Leader Wednesday started with Fuller and I making a video every Wednesday. It wasn't
Worship
live,
Leader
it was
Wednesdays,
Just,
yeah.
It was just a video we uploaded every Wednesday. We did it for over a year, every Wednesday.
And we did, didn't we?
Y'all are
That was a grind.
That
man.
was a grind, but it was good.
So
Yeah,
Bradford and
but
I
y'all
kicked
planned
around.
and did a few at a time.
Yeah, we-
Didn't wait till the
yeah.
week of. and-
We'd film all of
lesson
them
there.
in one sitting for a month. But so Bradford and I kicked around the idea of going back to pre-recording. So like doing
Worship Leader Wednesdays.
maybe a couple Worship Leader
Yeah.
Wednesdays a month. One of them is
Yeah.
pre-recorded and the other is live.
Absolutely.
So I think we might, and I could think too. Like there's a lot of things that we talked about in this video.
Gosh, that could all
we
be
could
videos.
easily
Yeah.
make a couple videos from just
Yeah.
to make them a little more focused and not so much chatter, you know. So expect maybe more Worship Leader Wednesdays coming in the future, but definitely we're going to try and go live the first Wednesday of every month. Fuller,
I love it. Yeah, let's do it.
Fuller is a classically trained chef, and maybe it would be fun to do some behind the scenes vlogs.
Bro, this right here would make the perfect cooking channel table. You could do the aerial shots, and we could just prepare.
We could have the host be like, hey,
dude,
so what are you
seriously.
making? And it's
I've always wanted to have a cooking show. Can you help me, Nick?
Call it
You and I, Nick.
WT what? WT what?
Nick and Fuller
WT
Cooks.
Cooks.
WT Cooks.
WT Cooks.
I think it's a great idea.
I mean,
I do have a lot of food hacks I could share, like 2-minute food hacks.
So maybe another YouTube channel has just been born.
I love cooking.
Yeah, Bradford is like the master of the grill.
You've always
enjoyed
sending me pictures of these elaborate, awesome boutique meats that are on your grill.
Maybe it could be a vlog video.
The daggum tomahawk chop. I'm like, where did you get that?
Daggum.
And my mouth's like watering just thinking about it. And then 8 hours later, he sends a picture like of this fully cooked.
Yeah, Bradford.
Just nothing left.
Bradford just sends the two of us photos of his deliciously grilled meats,
Oh my gosh.
I'm just like,
it's so good.
I got a big green egg.
I ate cereal for dinner. It was great, but I wish I could have had that.
I love.
You use the charcoal and stuff from Peru and stuff.
I used some kind of charcoal.
Yeah.
I got it like late spring, early summer, and like basically every Saturday we grill. A grilled pork chop though on charcoal.
So good. And I just
the only thing I can do is burger. Like every time I make a burger, I eat it and I think, why can't I get a burger this good at any restaurant?
Because
like it's not that hard.
Dude, Five Guys is good though. Come on.
Yeah, but I like the ones I make are way better.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you're probably making like 2-pound burgers.
No, they're just regular 80-20, just well seasoned.
80-20.
You know what?
Put it on the grill.
You know what
That's
a good
important.
burger food hack is?
Yeah.
When you make your burger patty, you put a layer of ice in the middle, and so you basically have a burger with
like an ice cube.
a layer of ice in
Or
there,
an ice cube,
and grill it. And let me tell you something, man.
Moist.
Woo!
Moist for all of you who love that.
I don't know.
Yes.
I got the perfect whatever the formula I've stumbled
A
upon.
smash burger isn't supposed to be like it's a different thing.
But I do smash burgers, but I like them. I grill them.
Shake Shack, though.
Shake Shack. All right, we're going there.
Shake Shack.
If we're not going to Roots
Where
Chris,
is
we're
the
going to
Shake Shack? Is there one close?
I don't know from here.
That's like eight hours from
All
now.
right.
No,
we
there's
got to
one
do more
at 8
moderation.
Yep. All right.
I can't get a hold of this. What's happening here?
I got it.
We're out.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. We're gonna go get some food.
See you guys later.
Eat 5 more tacos.
We're tacos on Brian.
Oh, actually, tacos would be good. We could go to.
Is that still placed there? Yeah,
I
that's
want
good
to try
stuff.
something. Just wave, all of you.
And we're all waving.
There's a still button. I want to see if it stills. Nope, just goes black.
Wow, that's Nick the producer, everyone.
that's
I
good
think
one,
it
Nick.
goes to a
It's
still.
Like a great 80s movie.
All right. Well, if you can hear us, Nick just killed the video.
Rocky freeze frame ending.
Turf and turf.
We're back.
Turf and turf.
We're all looking at you like,
Then
black.
Picture.
yeah, I know. Could have
was
used
a-
it for the.
If there are any
Exactly.
Scrubs fans.
All right. All right. I'm gonna go. So we got to get better.
we're still
at how
on,
we
right?
end
We're
these.
still on,
Yeah,
right?
we're still live.
The thing is we have this.
May the
great
road
setup,
rise up to meet you.
but
You
the
guys
button
finish
is
this thing
still
off.
over there.
That's right.
Yeah.
We just need to
So-
give that to Nick somehow.